Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Alecia. Today we're diving into one of my favorite kinds of recommendations, short horror books that absolutely pack a punch. Sometimes you're in the mood for something creepy, unsettling, or downright terrifying, but you don't want to commit to a 600-page monster of a book that will take weeks to finish. That's where horror under 300 pages comes in. They're fast, they're sharp, and they'll still leave you lying awake at night questioning your life choices. I've rounded up a mix for today, some that I personally loved, a couple that weren't totally my vibe but could be yours, and some that are still waiting on my never-ending TBR. Because let's be honest, half the fun of horror is the anticipation. Either way, all of these are short, creepy, and worth checking out if you want horror that gets under your skin without taking forever to read. So let's get into it. Parasocial. This is such a fun and twisted little novella. Parasocial follows Casey, a 19-year-old who's struggling and completely obsessed with social media. When her favorite stream vid star, Della, falls ill, Casey decides to set up a fundraiser to help cover her medical bills. But when her online obsession starts to bleed into her real life, things go sideways fast and it becomes clear that Della may not be who she seems. What I loved about this book is how grounded it feels. It's horror, yes, but it's horror rooted in something so real. We've all seen people get a little too deep into parasocial relationships with influencers and online figures. This story just pushes that to its darkest and creepiest conclusion. It's sharp, satirical, and disturbingly real. This horror hits different if you've ever found yourself lost in internet culture or spiraling down an online rabbit hole. It's short, but super effective. Hashtag thigh gap. Okay, so this one is dark, gritty, and definitely not for the faint of heart. Hashtag thigh gap takes us into the world of extreme body image culture, online validation, and toxic communities. It's visceral, it's brutal, and it absolutely does not hold back. Morrison is known for pushing boundaries, sometimes too far for certain readers, and this novella is no exception. It's disturbing, and that's the point. It forces you to sit with the ugly side of beauty standards and the way the internet can amplify insecurities to a horrifying level. It's the kind of story that makes you squirm, but also makes you think. It doesn't just shock for shock's sake. It's commentary on the way society preys on vulnerable people. If you're into horror that critiques modern culture and really pushes you outside your comfort zone, this one will definitely stick with you. Rest Stop. Now for something that leans more into the classic horror setup. Rest Stop follows a man on a late night road trip who pulls into a deserted rest stop. And let's just say things go downhill from there. This one is strange, disorienting, and very surreal. I'll be honest, it wasn't totally my vibe, but I can see why a lot of readers love it. Cassidy builds this sense of dread that's almost dreamlike, like you're stuck in a nightmare that keeps getting weirder. It reminded me a little of creepypasta style horror. Simple premise, but twisted in unexpected ways. So if you like your horror bizarre, trippy, and a little ridiculous at sometimes, this book is for you. Dear Laura. This one is absolutely chilling, but in a very quiet, understated way. Dear Laura is written as a series of letters between a woman and the man who kidnapped her best friend when they were kids. Every year on her birthday, Laura receives a letter demanding she complete some disturbing task if she wants more information about her missing friend. It's not graphic or overly violent, but that's what makes it so effective. It's psychological horror that worms its way under your skin. The dread builds slowly, and it's less about jump scares and more about obsession, guilt, and how manipulation can control someone for decades. So if you're looking for horror that lingers in your mind and leaves you uneasy in the best way, this one I highly recommend. Nothing But Blackened Teeth. This novella is gothic horror perfection in under 150 pages. Nothing But Blackened Teeth follows a group of friends in a haunted house in Japan, where an ancient bride was buried under the foundation and her ghost never left. The writing is lush and lyrical. It's almost poetic, but somehow still manages to be absolutely chilling. The imagery is so vivid, it feels cinematic. like you're walking through this haunted house alongside the characters. I love how it blends supernatural horror with human drama. It's not just about the ghost. It's about friendships unraveling, secrets spilling out, and the way people can be haunted by the supernatural, but also their own choices. Short, beautiful, and genuinely unsettling. This one left me spooked. Foe. And now for something a little different. Foe is almost more of a psychological sci-fi kind of horror. It follows a couple living in isolation on a farm, whose lives are upended when a mysterious stranger arrives with a very strange opportunity. The tension in this book is incredible. Reed doesn't rely on gore or monsters. He relies on paranoia, mistrust, and that constant feeling of something's off. You're never quite sure what's real, what's being hidden, or who you can trust. It's unsettling in the way the best psychological horror is. Slow, creepy, and deeply unnerving. If you like stories that keep you guessing until the very end and also leave you questioning if you're really in control of your own life, this one's for you. Sundial. This one is a slow burn psychological horror that got deep under my skin. Sundial follows a woman who takes her daughter back to her home in the desert, where all these dark, twisted secrets are buried. This book does such an incredible job building dread, which I feel like is a common denominator in a lot of horror I enjoy, is just there's this underlying sense of dread that when it's written well, it just hits different. And in this book, it's not about exactly what's happening. It's also about the atmosphere, the isolation, and the sense that something is very, very wrong. There's this gothic intensity to it that makes every chapter feel heavy with unease. The writing always keeps you second guessing. You're not just reading about creepy family secrets, you're questioning reality, memory, and the characters themselves. Honestly, this one left me unsettled for days. Highly recommend if you like horror that mixes psychological tension with gothic atmosphere. The Ballad of Black Tom. This one is high on my spooky TBR, and I'm so excited to finally get to it this October. And if I don't get to it this October, because I already have a very full October TBR, I will keep it on the TBR for next year. But The Ballad of Black Tom is a Lovecraftian novella that reimagines one of H.P. Lovecraft's classic horror stories from a fresh perspective. It takes the cosmic horror vibes, the ancient gods, the overwhelming dread, the sense that humans are indifferent in the big scheme of things, and filters it through a modern lens, weaving in commentary on race, power, and the way marginalized people were erased in older horror. From everything I've heard, the atmosphere is thick and unrelenting. Even though it's short, it's supposed to feel epic, while also being deeply personal. So this one is definitely high up on the spooky TBR list. Sisters. Sisters is another one I haven't read yet, but it's been on my list for a while now, and it sounds so unsettling. It focuses on two sisters who move into a remote house with their mother, and the tension between them slowly unravels into something darker. From what I've read, it's less about big jump scares and more about atmosphere. It's claustrophobic, eerie, and deeply gothic. The focus is on their relationships, the unspoken resentments, and the way something sinister seems to pulse beneath the surface. I've also heard great things about Daisy Johnson's writing in general, that it's absolutely stunning, poetic, and also unsettling. I'm expecting this one to be absolutely haunting and super creepy in the best way. Things have gotten worse since we last spoke. And finally, we have the infamous novella that horror readers can't stop talking about. Things have gotten worse since we last spoke. This one has such a reputation for being shocking, disturbing, and unlike anything else. It's told through emails and chat logs between two women who meet online. At first, it seems like a simple interaction, but it quickly spirals into something much darker. Obsession, control, and a descent into psychological and physical horror. The format makes it feel incredibly intimate, almost voyeuristic, like you're peeking into something you're not supposed to see. And because it's so short, it hits fast and hard. There's no time to catch your breath before it escalates. So I haven't read it yet, but from everything I've heard, it's the kind of book that will either completely wreck you or leave you so fascinated, and sometimes both. Definitely one of the most talked about horror books on this list, I would say. way, or at least I keep hearing about it and I keep hearing nothing but good things. So yeah, I can't wait to read this one. So there you have it. Those are some horror books under 300 pages that are perfect if you want something quick, creepy, and absolutely chilling without committing to a door stopper. Some of these I loved, some of them weren't totally for me, and some of them I haven't even read yet. But I think all of these show just how powerful short horror can be. I would love to hear in the comments if you've read any of these, or if you have other recommendations, because I am always adding to my spooky TBR. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming Halloween videos. Thank you so much for watching, and happy haunting!